attended to, please. Now, while I have the call, I'm going to now switch to a GST matter. Section 38.45 of the GST Act makes medical aids and devices GST free, provided that they are not widely used by people without an illness or disability. And as a consequence of that, or under that, incontinence pads are GST free, but sanitary pads are not. It also means collection devices for urine and faeces are GST free, but tampons are not. Are you aware, is the Treasury aware of these specific distinctions in tax treatment?
I've certainly heard some of those issues raised before.
Excuse me?
I've certainly heard some of those issues raised before.
Okay. So the question is why? I understand that the Minister has discretion to vary that. Is it a principle of tax policy that the tax treatment of fluids leaking from the bodies should differ depending on how many people suffer such leaks?
Senator, I think the process for making changes to the GST is that it has to go through the states and territories, and that all states and territories must agree on making any changes to the base of the GST. So, for example, the issue of sanitary pads has come up previously, and it has gone through a process of being discussed by states and territories, and any change to the base of what's GSTable needs to go through that process. Does it?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that. That's news. I was under the impression that the original instrument was made by the then Health Minister, Nicola Roxon, and that instrument's called the GST Free Supply Determination 2011, which determined that things like condoms and lubricants and folic acid and sunscreen, nicotine patches and gums are GST free. So I was working on the assumption that if the Minister can introduce an instrument to do that, the Minister can introduce an instrument to vary it or add something to it. Is that not right?
Senator, we may be speculating at this point. I would have thought that there would be perhaps some supporting documentation or the agreement of the states and territories that was reached outside that, because the GST is in fact a Commonwealth law and administered by the Commonwealth, but the agreement, and we are really relying on, in some cases, in my case, a very old memory around...
I sympathise.
And I was going to say that, I think that my suspicion is that at the time that the GST was set up, somebody actually went through all of these things and came to a view as to whether or not they were on the GST or the GST free list, and trying to go back 18 years and or 19 years, whenever it was sort of designed, and really come to a view as to why those decisions were taken is difficult for us. But we do know that in general, because it is generally the case that you would get the agreement of the 6 states and 2 territories, 2 changes to the GST, because in fact all of the revenue does flow through to the states.
Yeah.
So although the Health Minister or other ministers may be responsible for the legislation, I think that there would be agreement taken outside that context. But it would be best for us to take the question on notice and give you a complete answer.
Yeah, I think that would be good, and I'd appreciate that. And one final question, so sort of to summarise it, would be, is it within the power of the ATO or the Minister to reclassify menstruation as a disability, which would then facilitate sanitary pads and tampons to become GST free? You can take that one on notice too. Okay.
We will
take that on notice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Leyonhjelm.